I don't do that as a client. I wish I could. Yeah, I mean, I know. There's a lot of reasons why people have trouble following their training plans. And a lot of it goes back to organization. You know, how organized is your life and your life routine, and then also mental health, mental emotional health. I feel like those are the two big things. Is that an interesting challenge as a trainer, programming for someone after a really big event to their body like that? For sure. Yeah, because like, I mean, generally speaking, like overall, trying to build like overall strength is kind of like the same for everybody, male, female, no matter what. Like our muscles can only move so many ways and only do so many things. So building muscles against resistance, you know, people are still going to be doing the same kind of exercises, but you have to just like pay attention. Like it's like a different body. Like you can't start off with the same intensity that you left off with. So it's like you have to like just kind of like pay attention, and it's sort of like you have to just do a lot of diagnostic stuff. And of course, like the abdomen is gonna need some time to heal. So you want to give the time to heal and not do too much like stuff that's gonna be like crunches or moving the abdomen too much. More like stability type strength exercises like planks and stuff. But it's really, I mean, it's not too complicated. The thing is like you can make training very, very complicated, but it really is quite simple, especially for beginners. I find that the most difficult thing when it comes to beginners, for the most part, as a personal trainer, the most difficult thing is getting them to stick to the plan. And that's why, like, I've actually taken a little pause from taking on new clients right now because, I mean, I've gotten some new clients and they've been really great, but like, just like keeping them on track, I've had to reconsider. I've been doing a lot of like thinking for myself what my scope of work is lately, because you know, I think about what Chris and Joey say all the time. You know, you got to be responsible for your own gains. And I think as a trainer, I sometimes take it too much onto myself, the things that my clients should be responsible for. So now I'm starting to think about how are ways that I can hold my clients more accountable to what they are responsible for and make it very clear to them, like, listen, I cannot do the work for you. I can coach you, I can help you to make the changes that you need to make in order to like achieve your goals, but I am not going to motivate you. You have to do what you have to do in order to build motivation within yourself. That is inner work that you are responsible for. And it may not be that working with a trainer per se is what's going to help you with that. What's blocking you from being able to stick to your fitness goals and to your nutrition goals is probably a mental health thing. Maybe you need to work with a therapist. Maybe you need to work with a psychiatrist to address the things that are, or a life coach. Maybe your life is not well organized, you know, or at least charge them more if they need more personalized help. Right, exactly. So I'm thinking a lot about like what Joey said, because, you know, I'm very empathetic, and I'm a problem solver. So if I feel like, okay, the problem here is not that this person needs a training plan, which is what personal training is. Like, let's not get it twisted. Personal training is you work with a person who's going to create a plan for you for what kinds of exercises you should do, how often you should do them, and they might also give you a plan for nutrition, how many calories you should be eating, and what your macronutrient split is. That is what a personal trainer does. And you create a plan with them to meet with them a certain number of times a month or week, or maybe you don't meet with them at all and they only do like online planning for you. But they are there as a resource for you to get in shape. They are not going to do magic, wave a magic wand, and all of a sudden now you're motivated to take care of yourself. They're not a therapist. They can't solve the motivation issues that you have, the lack of self-discipline that you have. A personal trainer is not going to give that to you. You are the only person who can give that to yourself. So you need to do what you need to do on your end. If you want to get in shape and those are your blocks, you need to take responsibility for it and do what you need to do in order to solve those parts of yourself that are holding you back. I mean, I can point it out, but like I said, I'm not a therapist. And I think that that's where, like, I haven't set good boundaries in my business before, because I've allowed my clients to, I think I've given them, I don't think that I've held them accountable to being responsible for those gains, their personal or their mental health gains. And I do want to get tougher on them about that, because what happens is they have like a crisis, a mental health crisis or something like that, you know, and then they completely disappear, and then they come back, and then it happens again, they disappear and they come back, and then they get into this pattern where they never make any gains because they can't fucking stick to it. And I mean, at that point, I don't think that I'm doing anything but enabling an unhealthy cycle of behavior. So I'm just like thinking about how can I hold them accountable, trying to figure out how I can hold them accountable and help them move forward without stepping outside the scope of my area of expertise, you know. Don't you think that a coach has some motivational role, though? Like, if you and the client go for a PR and they wind up failing at having some sort of pep talk? Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely within the scope of practice of a personal trainer. But the problem that I'm having with some of my clients is that they need a life coach. They need a life coach, or they need a therapist. They have problems in their life that are making it so that they can't actually show up for the things that we're trying to do. That's quite different. I mean, obviously you aren't going to make sure they go to the gym X times a week. Well, I mean, I can make sure, and that's what I can hold them accountable to, because they check in for their workouts. When I like assign them workouts on a week by week basis, they check off for it, you know? I think that's what a lot of people think personal trainers should do. Right. No, I'm telling you right now, it is. A lot of people come to me, and I've stopped quoting people for this reason, because I have to pay money on services like Thumbtack, and on Thumbtack or on Bark.com. Like, I literally have to pay in order to quote somebody. And what I've noticed is that a lot of these people, you can just tell they're not going to be a good client, because what they're looking for is, and what they need is a life coach or a therapist. You know that they're, even if you've made a plan for them and you tried to keep them accountable and you check in with them and you tell them good job when they do their workouts and you give them guidance on how to do better in their workouts, none of that will work for them because they don't have a solid foundation in their life. You have to have a certain solid foundation or an ability to stick to a fucking routine. If you don't have an ability to stick to a routine, no matter what it is, then it's going to be difficult for you to get in shape. Because in order to get in shape, you need to routinely do your workouts and routinely meal prep if meal prep is part of it. So if you don't have an ability to have a routine, or if you don't have the mental capacity to, you know, set your goals of like, I'm going to work out 3 times a week and then stick to them, you know, if you don't have that, then you really need to deal with that. You know, like if you're not an organized person with with like the ability to plan things and put them on your calendar and stick to them, then you are not going to have success in training. And I cannot go into your calendar and, you know, like tell you when to go to work and what, you know, when to get your workouts in and when to do your meal prep. You are responsible for making that choice. And until you develop the capacity and the ability to take responsibility for your life and make those decisions that I'm going to do this at this time. If you are incapable of doing that, you are not going to have success, or your success is going to be very slow. In that case, the best thing you can do is drop them as a client so they have money to spend on a life coach. Right. I mean, that's exactly it. Yeah. And that's what I try to tell them, because I'm not a life coach. And I try my best, to help where I can, but it's not, I don't want to drop them, because if I drop them, then they feel like I'm abandoning them. But we do have this conversation, and I do want to make sure that I have these conversations more with my clients. Is listen, I think, these are the problems that we're having, and I think that this is the kind of person who can help you with this. And either you need to be working on this so that we can continue to try to make gains together, or let's put off the making gains until you have this immediate issue that you need to solve taken care of. My coaches have always asked for recordings of my lifts. That's good. My wife won't record videos though, so sometimes it's a no-go for other reasons. I have a therapist and she tells me to exercise. Yeah, I mean that's fine. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you have to do either or. You can't build muscle if your mind is not fully committed. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or hurt anybody's feelings, but listen, if you have a job and you only show up to the job when you feel like it, you're going to get fired, or you're not going to have a lot of success. If you own a business and you run your business, you only work when you feel like it, you're not going to make a lot of money. And your gains are exactly the same way. If you only show up for your gains when you feel like it, you're not going to have the success that you want to see. That's where personal discipline comes into place. Discipline is you show up, you commit to showing up, no matter how you feel. And you do something, no matter how you feel. Because, it's exactly the same way. Your body's going to pay you for the work that you do. So you cannot complain about the gains you don't have from the work that you didn't do. A life coach can totally help a lot of people. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the life coach. If you can find one that will work with you and help you get organized and everything. Where does one find a life coach? What you can do is go on to Thumbtack, or there's a lot of ways that you can find life coaches. All you have to do is Google it. Google life coaches in your area, or if you want to work with an online one. They're out there. You can find them. You can find a therapist who is very life coachy as well. There's a lot of things on the spectrum. But at this point, you are going to have to reach a point where you're tired of your own shit. You're going to have to reach a point where you're tired of making excuses. And nobody can make that break happen for you. No personal trainer, even your therapist can help, or your life coach can help. But you're going to have to reach a point where you're ready to commit. And for sometimes it takes time for that. And, I've had clients who I've had to work with them through that period of wishy-washiness, where they're kind of showing up, but kind of not. And I continue to work with them. I continue to give what I can. But it's with the understanding that it's at the same time, like I said, and this is what Mom Furious Fitness, Jeff Mumford says all the time, you cannot bitch and complain about the gains you didn't get from the work that you didn't do. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. Your body is not going to sugarcoat it for you. If you're not seeing the gains that you want to see, it's because you're not giving your body the input that it needs. Your body is very much like a computer. If you don't put your mouse over something and click on it, then that application is not going to open. If you're not actively showing up consistently for your workouts, then your progress is going to be slow. And so you're going to have to make a decision at that point, which is, okay, either I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be just I'm going to accept that this is the consequence, that my progress is going to be slow. And that's okay. because I'm not able to fully commit to this right now, but I'm going to show up as much as I can. Okay. And that's going to be a much more like realistic approach, I think, and a much more gentle and compassionate approach, which is, okay, I can't show up as much as I want to, as much as I would like to, because I have this thing like, holding me back. That still gains. You're still a winner in my book, because you're trying and showing up for as much as you can. And so, every time that you put in work, that's going to be building. That's one more brick on that foundation. You know what I mean? But if you know that you're just not going to be able to fully commit, at least be at the point where you can be like, I'm going to show up for what I can, and I'm going to accept the consequences, which is that I'm not going to see the gains as fast as I want, but that's okay. That's just how it is right now. Eventually, I'll reach a point where I'm able to fully commit, and then I'll be able to get a little bit faster. But you know what? Right now, I'm okay. Body is like a computer. No, I understand how to make computers work. That's why I spend my life with them. Mind and body is something else entirely. No, it's not. Because there's some kind of input. The thing is, the type of input that your mind and body receive is just different from computers. But there's some kind of input that you're giving your body, or that your body's receiving, whether it's the messages that your hormones are telling the rest of your body or your brain to function with, or it's your fucked up mindsets from your past, or trauma, or your environment, or your habits, the force of your habits. There are forces that are at play, that are pressing buttons that get you to behave the way that you behave. And the goal of trying to become the person that you want to become is understanding what those inputs are, and then being able to plan around them or change them. That is what it is. It's just, sometimes we don't understand what the inputs are, the things that are pulling us towards one behavior or another. And as long as you remain ignorant or in denial of what those inputs are or what those forces are, then you're not going to make gains. And that's where a therapist or a life coach can be very helpful, because they can help you identify what those forces are that are influencing your behavior. And then they can help you take control over them or plan around them to help you keep moving in the direction that you want to move. So you may be in a place where you're not fully aware of what all is influencing your behavior or your thought patterns or your thought life. But there's input there. You just might not know exactly what those inputs are. So it's your responsibility as an individual who wants to get in shape to learn what is influencing your behavior, and then make a plan for how you're going to work around those things if you can't change them, or take control of them and change them. I agree, cause and effect still applies, but I have immeasurably more control over the computer's inputs. Well, yes and no. There's some things that you just can't change about, like, the way that a computer works, the way that a system works. And that's also the same with our minds and our bodies. There's things that, there's ways that our bodies function that no matter what we do, we can't change. The fact of the matter is that fat is stored energy. And when you are not burning enough energy and you're taking in more energy through the food that you eat, and you're in this energy surplus, your body is going to store fat. We can't change that. We also can't change where your body decides to store fat. But you can change the variable of what food you put into your body and how much energy your body spends. Those are variables that you can control. There are certain variables that you have to work around when it comes to computers as well. There are certain things that you can't change, that you have to, change other things in order to manipulate and work within a system. Your body and your mind are a system, and you have to learn what are the variables that you can control, what are the variables that you can't. And then for the variables that you can control, the ones that are pushing you in a direction away from health and wellness are the ones that you need to change. The variables that you can't control are the ones that you have to work around. It's very similar. You can make it as complicated in your mind as you want, but I mean, in my experience, if you ever really want to make a big change in your life, you need to be realistic and keep it simple. You know, and also it goes back to having a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is one that says, listen, there are obstacles and I need to figure out what those obstacles are and I need to plan around them. But there are also things that I can change so that I can get better, because I have this goal and I want to achieve it, and I'm going to achieve it no matter what, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. A fixed mindset is going to look for excuses, is going to look for reasons why you shouldn't move towards your goal. So it goes back to the original thing, is what the fuck are you trying to do? What's your ultimate goal, and how committed are you to that goal? Because if you're not as committed to that goal, then you are going to you're gonna use excuses. Any obstacle that comes along is gonna be an excuse to stop. But if you have a growth mindset, any obstacle that comes along is an obstacle to overcome, a puzzle to solve. You should have recorded this for YouTube because it's some good shit. Okay. Well, I can always go back and highlight it and repost. But I mean, honestly, like I'm just gonna be honest with you right now. It kind of sounds like you're looking for excuses. It sounds like the things that are challenging for you, you're facing those things that are challenging for you as signs to stop or signs to quit. So you need to go back to your overall mindset. I know that you're struggling. I know that because you've said that in the past. You're struggling. And you know, the fact that you're struggling, that's okay. But you need to think about how you're approaching the fact that you're struggling and what your mindset is about that. You're probably going to have variables that you can't change. You might have depression and anxiety that are linked to chemical imbalances in your brain, or maybe trauma from the past that just injured your sense of self. And maybe you can't change that. So if that's the truth, if that's the case, then you need to work around it. You need to create a plan for yourself that includes compassion, that is realistic about, okay, I have these things working against me. I'm going to make progress. I see the thing that I want to do, and I'm going to keep working towards it. But I know that I'm going to have periods where I'm going to have setbacks. And I'm going to make peace with that fact, because I know that there's an end to those time periods. My depressive episodes, they do end eventually. And so I'm going to have a plan for when I'm in a depressive episode to help myself keep moving forward, or at the very least not get pushed backwards. I'm going to have something I know that I'm just not going to be able to be moving as fast as I want when I'm in a depressive episode. But these are the things I'm going to do to keep pushing forward. Okay? And then when I'm not having a depressive episode, these are the things that I'm going to do so that I can keep moving forward at a little faster pace. This is a realistic way to plan your health and wellness, and to see your health and wellness journey, rather than a fixed mindset, which is like, what it honestly sounds like to me is like you're still having this, like, it sounds like you're still asking yourself whether you can do it or not. I mean, that's the sense that I have, is like, you're kind of like, I'm not really sure if I can do this because I have all these things set against me. And you absolutely can do it. There are people with mental illness, people who are bipolar, people who have depression and anxiety, who are able to, get fit, and their secret is that they've built their plan around their depression and anxiety or mental illness. They've built things into their life that allow them to keep making progress, or at least reduce the damage when they're in a depressive episode, so that they can continue to work towards their goals. But I think it's honestly, you have to kind of decide that this is absolutely for you and that it's absolutely achievable first. As long as you're in that space where you're like, I'm not sure if I even can do it, I'm just trying this out, as long as you're in that mind space, then yeah, you're gonna have very slow progress because you're not like really sure that you can do it. But nobody like nobody can make you sure that you can do it. Like you have to decide, yes, I can do this, and I'm gonna do it no matter what it takes. And I'm gonna work around my limitations. I'm gonna work around, whatever is in my way. If I worked out when I was motivated to, I'd never work out. Yeah. And Joey's bipolar, exactly. And, he also, like me, has a history of eating disorder. So, his relationship with food is not good. But that's not an excuse. It's something he works around. It's something he works around and plans for. Same thing that I do, Right now, I'm in a really difficult spot right now. I would love to be cutting right now. I would love to be cutting because I've built so much muscle over the last year that I want to be able to see it. But my life has been stressful, and this is one of those stressful periods where I haven't been able to be very disciplined about what I'm eating. And I've been actually overeating, and I can tell and I can sense it, I can feel it, and I can see it. I actually am not too worried about it though, because I know that once my life settles down into the new routine that I'm trying to create for myself, then I will be able to get that, I will be able to rein that back in. But I'm just kind of being compassionate with myself. I have a plan every day for how I'm going to eat so that I can make sure that I'm, staying healthy, eating my vegetables, getting the protein that I need. But at the end of the day, if I feel an intense craving to splurge because I'm fucking stressed, I actually let myself do that. I give myself permission to do that because you know what? I'm going through a lot right now, but I know that I'm going to work that off later. And that's where I'm at right now. I can't be super strict with my diet because I'm being super strict with everything in my life. My work, my streaming, everything. So, I'm going into this knowing that that's how it is. And honestly, I would rather be here. When I'm stressed, there's two ways it can go. One is I can overeat or I can undereat. And even though when I undereat, I look really toned and thin, I have no energy. And I feel like shit. And my creativity is down, my productivity is down. I'm actually pretty okay with the fact that I'm kind of overdoing it a little bit because I know that at least I'm going to be building muscle because I am building muscle right now, and that's the priority for me is building muscle and maintaining energy so that I can get all this shit done that I need to get done. And then once my life is less demanding, I'll be able to put the mental energy and focus into cutting because it does take mental energy and focus to cut. So I've accepted that's I'm not setting my plan for my health and wellness right now is not setting me up for disappointment and feeling like a failure because it takes into account what the reality is of my life right now and my own mental and emotional health, how much energy that I have. So my plan is something that takes into account those things and is compassionate towards those things and says, you know what, this is what we're going to try to do so that I can at least be healthy. But if I don't follow the plan to the T, my plan for that is that I'm not going to beat myself up and that I'm going to just make sure that I put that energy to use. Go for more walks with Rufus or, add in another workout, build some more muscle because I've got the ability and the energy to. I do literally grind all the time. Exactly. So I'm not going to take the fact that I'm not able to fully commit to my cut right now and shame myself for that. I'm not going to shame myself for my body fat percentage being where it is because I accept the consequences of how I'm able to do my life right now. And this is just where we are. And I know that it's just a season. It will pass and I'll get to a point where I'll be able to focus on it again. And that's an example of how I am planning my fitness journey around the reality of the struggles that I'm going through, you know? And that's what we all should do, especially if you have like depression and anxiety or life events happening that are outside of your control. You can choose to use those as an excuse to not even try to stay healthy, or you can use those as things that you plan around so that you can continue to make progress or reduce the damage that they cause on your health and wellness. But that's a choice that you ultimately make, and you make that choice based on your mindset and your commitment to your goals. Not beating myself up is a thing I must watch out for. Absolutely. Yeah. It's not useful. If you are consistently not able to do the things that you planned to do, it rarely has to do with you being XYZ, you being lazy, you being stupid, you being all the bullshit things that we tell ourselves when we're on a shame spiral. If you're consistently not able to show up for the things you plan for, your systems are bad. It's not necessarily you're bad, your systems are bad. And so you need to take control of your systems. And your systems being your weekly schedule, your daily schedule, the things that you say yes to, the things you say no to. Like, where is your energy going? Where is your time going? Do you just say yes to everything? When people ask you to do things, do you just say yes? Do you have a hard time saying no to things? That's at the core of a lot of people's problems when the reason why they can't make any progress with their health and wellness is because they're not saying no to the right things. They're not saying yes to the right things. So that's what the core of the issue is. Learn what to say yes to, learn what to say no to. And the way that you learn what to say yes and no to is you set a goal in mind and you make a plan for how you're going to spend your time, what kinds of things you're going to give your energy to. Are you happy with your body? Yeah, I am. I'm very happy with my body. I'm fucking strong, dude. Like, I took Rue on a walk yesterday. We did an hour walk because I ate a lot of ice cream yesterday because I was like, part of it's like celebrating, sometimes it's stress eating, you know? So anyway, I was like, well, that's a lot of sugar to eat at the end of the day. So let's go put some of this to use. So we went on like this hour-long walk. It was amazing. It was the evening, so it was nice and cool. We went into like a neighborhood that we don't normally go into. And so we got to see all of these like old houses of Cary that I had no idea were even like in existence. Old houses from like the 70s. You saw like all kinds of styles. It was really cool. And, this is one of those neighborhoods that probably doesn't have an HOA. And so like all of the houses are really different. So that was a lot of fun to like walk through there. He got to smell things he never smells. I got to see things I never see. And then when I got back and I was like sitting in bed reading and I like just put my hand on my thigh, my quads had such a pump. They were just like, pfft. And I was like, that feels really good. Like that's awesome. Like I feel like I'm so strong. So yeah, I am happy with my body. I would, in terms of like the things that I would like to do next, I would like to cut. I would like to trim fat because I want to see my muscles more. And, I'm just not at a body fat percentage that I prefer. I'm happy though with where I am. I still think I'm sexy. I still think that I look good, but I would prefer to be like 2 percentage points a little bit lower. And that's something that I'll work towards when I have the mental and energy capacity to. But in the meantime, in this stage that I'm at, where I am in terms of like how my life is laid out, I'm best set up to continue to build muscle and to continue to, do a bunch of cardio, which I love. It sounds like you aren't when you absolutely should be. I think everybody has things that they would like to improve, like there's things that I'm happy about, but then there's things that I would like to do next. And that's part of my personality. And that's like what keeps me moving forward. That is a drive for me. That's a drive for me is like, I let myself celebrate my wins, but I also am realistic about the things that I would prefer to be different. And then I make a plan for how I'm going to get those things, when I have the time and energy. So it's like and that's how I run my business, and that's how my business has grown as it has. That's how Stream has grown as it has, because I'm always in a state where I'm happy about where things are, but I'm not settling into it. There's always something to improve, and that's how I approach everything in my life. That's how I approach my body. That's how I approach my nutrition. That's how I approach Stream. That's how I approach my business, my relationships. There's always something to work towards, and to me, that's an exciting thing. Yeah, growth mindset, exactly. To me, that's what keeps things interesting. That's what keeps things fun. That's how I treat my life like a video game, like a simulation game. You know what, like, you get tired of The Sims, you get tired of like Roller Coaster Tycoon when you feel like you've done all the things and there's nothing to grow towards, or there's nothing to reach for next. There should always be something to reach for. And how you view those things is really like I think what makes the difference between people who make gains and people who don't. Because the people who don't make gains, they see where they're trying to go and that they haven't reached there yet as like a further reason to stop trying. Whereas a person who makes gains, they see they're like not quite where they are, and so then they make a plan for how they're going to achieve that. And they have that plan ready to go whenever they have the ability to work towards it. No reason that someone can't be happy where they are while still trying to make positive changes. Yep, exactly. Work in progress. Exactly. We got on a big tangent. We got on a big tangent.